ordinary till you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Hello, good evening, and thank you for joining us on CoreTV Primetime News. I am Frank Omalape in our major story. Results of governorship and House of Assembly elections all over Nigeria continue to stream in. Also in this program, the Civil Society Coalition Situation Room has called on the Independent National Electoral Commission to take another look at results from Rivers and 2 other states. And the impeachment saga takes another twist in Ekiti State. Finally, a bomb explosion at the Moroccan embassy in Tripoli, Libya, as government shoot at 3 at the Southeast Korean embassy in the same city. Thank you for joining us tonight. The PDP governorship candidate in Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, has been declared winner by the Independent National Electoral Commission. The returning officer for the election, Osaze Orunwase, says Wike scored 1.29102 votes to defeat other contenders for the post. Dakuku Peterson scored 1,243,096 votes to win in the elections. The PDP state agent, Tele Kuru, commended INEC for a good job, but APC agents left the collation center before the eventual declaration of the result. Meanwhile, PDP has won 25 out of the 26 seats in Rivers State House of Assembly, leaving 1 for the APC. Elections in 6 constituencies are inconclusive according to the electoral body.
Well, I don't think anything actually happened. I believe that we are agents here, and every person is here to protect the interest of his party. And whatever happened, I believe that they have done the best they could in the circumstance for their party. But we simply refused and did not allow them to mislead the commission. At the end of the day, I think they realized that that is the correct position. I will say it is near perfect. If I say perfect, then I will be assuming that God, first and foremost, God was the person who supervised the election, and God, the angels themselves, partook in the election. When you say perfect, but other than that, considering the human nature and considering that we are in a part of the world where people always think that the best way to grab power is by force, it's not uncommon to have pockets of people who would like to try what manner of things here and there. But I believe, even more importantly, that the people have spoken and their voice is loud and clear. The majority, the minority cannot overcome, supersede, and eventually lead the majority. There may be some pockets of trouble here and there, but at the end of the day, the majority spoke and spoke very loudly.
Thank you very much.
And now the Niger State Governor-elect Abubakar Bello says his administration will be just equitable and inclusive. He made the declaration on Monday shortly after receiving his certificate of return from the returning officer Abdul Ganiyu and Bali in Mina. Bello polled 593,702 votes to defeat Umaru Naskor of the People's Democratic Party, who got 239,772 votes.
To humbly acknowledge the act of faith of Nigerites for electing me as the next governor of our great state, Niger State. INEC has just announced the result of the election. It is providential and particularly humbling that Baba Buhari shall be the next president of Nigeria, and I, Abubakar Sani Bello, the governor of Niger State. I also recognize the fact that the expectation of Nigerites of our administration in all its ramifications are as intense as those of Nigerians on the administration of Baba Buhari. Let me assure you that my team and I will serve all Nigerites faithfully as your governing party. I am pledging to you all that my administration will be just, equitable, and inclusive of all Nigerites, irrespective of their religion, gender, and social status. The electioneering campaign has generated its share of acrimony and often heated arguments. These we must put behind us and learn to forge ahead as one family. I wish to restate and also commit myself to the apt remark of the President-elect, General Buhari. I quote, "You are all my people. I shall treat everyone as you as my own."
And our Kano State Deputy Governor and APC governorship candidate Abdullahi Umaru Ganduje has won the gubernatorial election in the state with a wide margin, with APC candidates also cleaning out all the 41st State Assembly seats, according to the election results collated at INEC Kano office and read out by the state returning officer Hamisu Muhammad Abubakar. Ganduje polled 1,546,241 votes, while PDP gubernatorial candidate Sergio Salihu Takai got 510,524 votes.
Of election to the office of governor. I, Professor Muhammad Hamis Muhammad, hereby certify, one, that I was the returning officer for the Kano State 2015 governorship election held on the 11th day of April 2015. Second, that the election was contested third, that the candidate received the following votes. Dr. Abdullahi Umar Ganduje, APC, scored 1,546,434 votes. Then Salihu Muhammad Sagir of PDP obtained 509,726 votes. Fourth, that Dr. Abdullahi Umar Ganduje of All Progressive Congress, APC, having satisfied the requirements of the law and scored the highest number of votes, is hereby declared the winner and is returned elected.
And in Kaduna, the state governor-elect Nasir El-Rufai and his supporters are still basking in the euphoria of the landslide victory over incumbent Governor Mukhtar Yarol in Saturday's election. The former minister of the Federal Capital Territory said at a post-victory news conference that it was a victory for democracy. The People's Democratic Party has since accepted defeat and hailed the conduct of the election. Meanwhile, the governorship candidate of the All Progressive Congress, Abdul Fattah Ahmed of Kwara State, has been declared winner of governorship election by INEC in Kwara State, having polled 295,835 to beat his counterparts at Jibola, who scored 115,200, and a Labour Party candidate, Mike Omotosho, who also scored 2,973. It was announced by the returning officer, Professor Musbao Akonji.
APC 295,832. 295,832. CPP 1014. 1014. COBA 335. 335. LP 2973. 2973. PDP 115220. 115220. Total votes cast 434,354. Looking at the results, APC has the highest number of votes at 295,832. 295,832. The other condition is that the party having the highest number of votes must have 25% of votes cast in 2/3 of local governments. There are 16 local governments. They have the highest score in the 16. So automatically they fulfill the second condition. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I therefore declare APC candidate the winner of the election conducted on the 11th of April 2015.
And now the governorship candidate of the All Progressive Congress in Benue State, Samuel Otom, has been declared winner of the April 11 election in the state. He polled 422,932 to beat his closest rival, the People's Democratic Party candidate Tehem Taza, who polled 313,878. The Benue State INEC returning officer Professor Hayward Mufai announced the result of different parties that participated in the election at about 7:25 a.m. on Monday. In his immediate reaction, Director of Taza campaign organization Cletus Tiokia accused INEC officials in the state of not being transparent in the electoral process. He, however, confirmed that the PDP candidate has conceded defeat and has called the governor-elect to congratulate him in the spirit of sportsmanship. While the Benue State Resident Electoral Commissioner Itzifanos Defang dismisses any act of electoral malpractice in the state.
I hereby, on behalf of the campaign organization and the governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Right Honorable Prince Tehem Tazo, react to the announcement of the results of the governorship elections conducted in Benue State on the 11th of April 2015 by INEC. A. Right Honorable Tehem Tazo sends his congratulations to Dr. Samuel Otom and the APC for victory at the polls. He wishes Otom and his wife, Mrs. Eunice Otom, a successful tenure as governor of Benue State and First Lady, respectively. B. Right Honorable Tehem Tazo has reservations concerning the conduct of the elections in the state by the INEC Commissioner, Professor Stephanos Dafwang. But in the spirit of the greater Benue State, we prefer to move forward and forget the professor's indiscretions.
That Autumn Samuel Iore of APC, having satisfied the requirements of the law and scored the highest number of votes, is hereby declared the winner and is returned elected. And it's signed by my humble self, dated this 13th day of April 2015.
You're still watching CoreTV Primetime News. After the break, we bring you more stories on the result of the governorship elections and its aftermath. Please don't go away.
Every day, every hour, and every minute, news break in Nigeria. Things happen so fast, it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. But that's what we do right here on Digit 360. 2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world again?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions.
A quick reminder of our top stories if you've just joined us. Results of governorship and House of Assembly elections all over Nigeria continue to stream in. And the Civil Society Coalition Situation Room has called on the Independent National Electoral Commission to take another look at results from Rivers and 2 other states. And the impeachment saga takes another twist in Ekiti State. You can also interact with us on our social media platforms like our Facebook page is facebook.com/CoreTV News. You can as well follow at CoreTV News NG. And for live streaming, log on to youtube.com/CoreTV, leave a space, the news. And now following the declaration of Akiumi Ambode as the winner of the Lagos State governorship election by the Independent National Electoral Commission with the total votes of 811,994 against his PDP gubernatorial candidate, Jimmy Agbaje, will clinch 659,788 votes. While delivering acceptance speech at the APC Secretariat in Lagos, Governor-elect Ambode promised to continue legacy of good administration in the state.
I pledge to you that I shall devote myself to bring even greater prosperity, growth and development to every inch of this state. That I shall build on this legacy and progress of the Bola Tinubu and Babatunde Fashola administrations of Lagos into my governance. And I shall make you proud and glad that you chose me as your next governor.
He is also excited that APC has emerged progressive governance at the national level with state level.
Let me again place on record my thanks, particularly to the Lagos State chapter of our great party, All Progressives Congress. Moreover, you have been a tireless, selfless, and inspiring campaigner for this cause.
Meanwhile, the Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Musli Obanikoro, has congratulated the Governor-elect Lagos State, Akiumi Ambode, over his victory. Obanikoro, whose son Ibrahim failed to clinch the Etiosa constituency 1 seat at the House of Assembly, had earlier on Saturday accused the All Progressive Congress of intense rigging. However, the minister has on Monday morning congratulated Ambode on his Facebook page. He wrote simply that I congratulated Akiumi Ambode as governor of Lagos State. The minister had been one of the most strident critics of the All Progressive Congress in Lagos. And now the returning Governor of Oyo State, Abiola Ajimobi, says he will dedicate his priceless re-election to the selfless service of the people of Oyo. He also commended his fellow contestants who congratulated him and promised to keep up a working relationship with them for development in the state. Meanwhile, the party Accord have accused the incumbent governor of rigging the polls to his favor, stating that the party would find the necessary documents to contest the result at the election tribunal. Our correspondent Domota Alo has details.
After a tough race for the governorship position in Oyo State, the 11 April became the only platform for the kingmakers and person of the electorate to decide who they really want as their governor. When the state coalition and returning officer Ayobami Salami announced the incumbent governor as the winner of the governorship election, it was a result in the right direction for chieftains of the All Progressives Congress, who promised the residents of not regretting their actions to vote Abiola Ajimobi a second time.
Abiola Adeyemi Ajimobi of APC, having satisfied the requirements of the Lord and score the highest number of votes, is hereby declared the winner and is returned elected.
He is a man of integrity, he's a man of his word, and he's a man that believes, in good things.
Strategy, we are people of planning. We don't lay on propaganda, and then we assess the situation, and by God's grace, God has rewarded us with this resounding victory.
On the contrary, Accord party agents Nureni Adisa, who refused to sign the results and walked away from the table, accused the resident electoral commissioner of conniving with the incumbent governor to rig the election.
Votes were allocated. Akeju showed again that is incompetent and that is a biased umpire. And with all the allegations and evidences that we have, we believe that the result should not be signed.
This was the response the electoral commissioner gave after his complaints.
Nobody can add 0 to 100 to make 1,000. Not anyone. Don't blame anybody for your loss of your gain. Go and understudy properly the objective reality that you have for electoral process.
But on the other side, it was celebration galore for supporters of the returning governor, who thronged on his residence and streets to jubilate. For the newly re-elected governor, his next 4 years of administration in the state would come as a blessing for the people of Oyo.
Democracy is the winner, and the people are the beneficiaries. And I'm dedicating this priceless second term to the people of the state.
After the decision of Oyo State, what most residents look forward to is the outcome of what their decision will birth. Omotayo Alo, CoreTV News, Ibadan.
Still in Oyo State, as the 2015 election folds up in the state, voters have called on aggrieved parties not to resort to post-election violence regardless of the outcome of the poll. While the electoral process was adjudged peaceful, credible and fair in some parts of the state, other areas witnessed pockets of violence. But for the prompt intervention of law enforcement agency, the governorship and House of Assembly election held in one piece. Our correspondent Omotalo has details.
49.
Finally, the anticipated governorship election in Oyo State has come to pass. It was a defining moment for all 12 political parties who contested the governorship seat, and specifically 3 prime candidates who would at one point serve as governor of the state. Although a low turnout of voters were witnessed at most polling units in comparison to the March 28 presidential poll, voters expressed joy in the orderly manner in which the polls were conducted. However, the voters' experiences in some polling units was not all that rosy.
We are all the people where we did here. So
As we did, sir, we know there to rest in peace, but it's something where we need full security for this area, Oje area, Ibadan Northeast.
We want to vote, but then that they are in power, they not allow us to vote.
Then, in fulfillment of the pledge to provide adequate security for all electorate and ensure that the process is credible, the State's Commissioner of Police, in company of his men, ensured normalcy in areas where the residents feared automatic disenfranchisement.
I am here. I will remain here. You can see all the eligible voters are now here. We have given them the security. We are waiting for the time for the voting proper. Everybody will vote. Nobody will have any cause to worry from the activities of few predatory antisocial elements in this place.
It was observed that voters complained more on inadequate voter sensitization than card reader related issues as witnessed in previous election. But these residents and the PDP governorship candidate warned against post-election violence or killings in protest of the election outcome.
Even if you resort to violence in this polling unit, what about the other polling units? And you might even get hurt in the process, get killed. Is it worth it?
There should just be patience for this election, that our vision for this election will surely come out.
Violence will not resolve anything. Whosoever emerge at the end of the day, I think we should all take it in good faith and allow the state to move forward.
For a state that has been tagged the political volatile area, and with the records and outcome of the just concluded election, it is only a matter of time to know if Oyo residents will tour the path of peace for the next administration. Omotayualo, CoreTV News, Ibadan.
The Awujale of Ijebuland, Sikiru Adetono, has called on all politicians to desist from money politics, which again resurfaced at the just concluded elections. He also admonished politicians and Nigerians that the just concluded elections should serve as a lesson for subsequent elections. He gave this piece of advice while playing host to Ogun State Governor Ibikule Amosu, who has just won re-election, who was on a thank you visit to Ijebode.
So therefore, you should be ready for the next one, future. And make sure that you don't experience things like this. Last time, the result was better. But now, because of 2 shillings, 3 shillings, you went and messed up your names. You destroyed your names, your honor and dignity. I don't know how you are going to work toward now. No, that cannot cover what is 2,000 about inflation. Instead, it gives you war.
Now, the Nigeria Civil Society Situation Room wants the Independent National Electoral Commission to take a second look at the outcome of the governorship elections in some states of the Federation, including Rivers, Akwa Ibom, and Abia State. This, the coalition says, is because of the activities of some politicians and electoral officials, which it says is contrary to provisions of the electoral guidelines. According to the Civil Society Situation Room, where there were several reported cases of electoral fraud and misconduct, as well as violent attempts to subvert the process, which are enough ground to question the credibility of the results.
Largely, I think it was an improvement. There were 3 specific states where the governorship elections were questionable, and we questioned the veracity and credibility of the results from Akwa Ibom, from Rivers, and from Abia states. Where it would appear that election officials acted with a lot of impunity, raising questions about the nature of control of the state-level election officials by the National Commission of INEC. And it makes us worry whether you should have this sort of situation where state-level officials are operating with a lot of impunity.
While the All Progressive Congress has called for the cancellation of results announced for the governorship and House of Assembly elections in Akwa Ibom and Rivers State, the party spoke through its National Publicity Secretary, Lai Mohammed, who says the elections were fraught with massive irregularities. A correspondent, Patience Ajiboye, who was at the press briefing by the party in Lagos, filing this report.
The announcement of PDP's Nyesom Wike and Emmanuel Udom in Rivers and Akwa Ibom states, respectively,
as winners of the just concluded governorship election, according to the APC, is nothing but a shocker. National Publicity Secretary of APC, Lai Mohammed, who spoke on behalf of the party, says elections in the states were mere caricature of what credible elections should be.
Governorship and House of Assembly elections were held across the country on Saturday. While the elections went on smoothly in most parts of the country, the situation was different in some others, where all that took place was nothing but mock elections. Two of the states that witnessed such caricature of elections are Rivers and Akwa Ibom, where elections were not conducted in accordance with INEC guidelines. Because of this, we in the APC are left with no choice than to demand the immediate cancellation of the purported elections in the two states.
He says the party wants the elections cancelled due to what he described as failure by the electoral umpire INEC in the supply of electoral materials in many wards and snatching of ballot boxes, actions which, when contested, subsequently resulted in the death of some APC members by PDP thugs.
PDP thugs killed two of our members in Ibiono, Ibo, when Basi Albert invaded a rack center in the area with over 50 thugs to cart away ballot materials. The PDP thugs also killed one of our members in Insit Ubiom. 3 APC supporters were also killed in Uyo. Yet another APC member was killed in Urua. One more APC member was killed in Ini local government area. This was acknowledged by the Assistant Inspector General of Police, Mr. Babadi Sabolanta, who was in charge of elections in the state.
The APC publicity scribe added that the sentiment of his party is one shared by observers, both foreign and domestic.
We have indicated that some local and international election observers have also been very critical of the elections in the two states, with some calling for an outright cancellation. The leader of the African Center for Leadership Strategies and Development, Mr. Humphrey Bekaren, said in Porakot that the observers were shocked that INEC disregarded the widely reported violent irregularities to begin the process of declaring results in Rivers State.
While those who have been declared winners of the elections continue to celebrate, the process leading to their emergence continue to generate differing reactions. Patience Ajiboye, CoreTV News, Lagos.
And now the Vice President Amadi Sambu on Monday presided over a Federal Government Transition Committee meeting where the terms of reference and guidelines for preparing the handover briefs for the incoming governments were discussed. This is the first time the committee members are meeting after it was set up in the aftermath March 28 presidential elections. The meeting was held at the Vice Presidential Wing of the Presidential Villa, and the afterwards Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Ayim Pius Ayim, gave an insight into the deliberations. And now the Ekiti State House of Assembly election had nearly ended when the impeachment crisis gained momentum again in Ekiti State. In a new twist to the matter, the Speaker of the PDP, Dele Lubemi, accused the APC of holding a meeting with him in order to pave way for the impeachment of Governor Fauci. The APC and the PDP have taken the issue before the judiciary. Our correspondent Rashid completed the reports.
Without mincing words and in apparent confidence of the awareness of what he is saying, the Speaker of the PDP in Ekiti State House of Assembly, Dele Olubemi, made a stunning revelation to journalists on his level of involvement in the impeachment process served Governor Fauci as he threatens to name his co-travelers in the APC.
I am involved in part of the plan. I have been invited to Osun. I have been invited to Lagos to discuss whether we tender my resignations by the APC, and I met one with Omenis and some leaders. If they go ahead with this impeachment, I will mention their name. I will. I am involved, and I said, mistakenly they thought I can be bribed with little money that will make me to sing my stand.
Olubemi, however, asked the G19 Speaker, Adewale Omiri, to stop parading himself as Speaker, even as he added that the possibilities of the Chief Judge or the APC constituting the 7-man investigative panel, just the way the impeachment notice was served, is high.
It is therefore my position that Omini and his cohort should stop impersonating my office as the speakers of Ekiti State House of Assembly. I know they can still go online and said, even if the chief judge refused to constitute the C7, they can still send a message where they are online said they constituted and name some strange name that they are the part of the panel. So I know them.
The coming days will surely bring more drama as Ekiti awaits the outcome of the Supreme Court judgment against the June 21st governorship election, while the APC, through its state publicity secretary, Taiwo Latubosun, on a phone chat, dismisses Olugbemi's assertion as laughable. Rashid, CoreTV News, Ado Ekiti.
You're still watching CoreTV Primetime News, reaching you live from our Lagos studios. We'll take another break. Then I'll be back with business, sport, and stories outside Nigeria. Stay with us.
From time immemorial, women have birthed life, shaped character, and by extension, influenced the society. Moremi of Ife, Emoten of Benin, Queen Aminat of Zaria, all women of influence and power.
Whether it's before election, after election.
How ironical. Women being so powerful, yet have few grounds in decision making.
They see you as a wife, and I see you as a wife to a man.
We are talking women in politics.
A woman will be bold enough to stand up and say, I want to become president of Nigeria.
Only on CoreTV News.
And now in business, in pursuant of Section 313 of the Investment and Security Act 2007, the Security and Exchange Commission has released newly proposed rules for the mutualization of security exchanges. According to a statement released on the Commission's website on Monday, the regulatory body lists conditions under which security exchanges shall operate. According to the Commission, the newly proposed regulations shall ensure that the mutualized security exchanges shall be registered as a company limited by guarantee and a company limited by shares. The Commission says preconditions for the mutualization shall include name and profiles of members of the committee, and the mutualization of which one-third shall be independent. Evaluation report of the security exchange, the draft memorandum and articles of association of the securities exchange, and a list of directors, among others. The mutualization means the process through which a member owns an organization which becomes a shareholder-owned company. And now the standard debt profile of state has shown that Lagos State has the highest, with a profile of $1.1 billion US, followed by Kaduna State with a total of $234 million US. Cross River State followed closely with $131.4 million US. The federal government's domestic debt, on the other hand, stood at 7.9 trillion, while those of the state stood at 1.7 trillion naira. Federal government's domestic debt is made up of 4.792 trillion bonds, 2.81 trillion treasury bills, and 296.2 billion naira treasury bonds. According to figures published by the Debt Management Office in Abuja, the total debt stock of the federal government and the 36 states of the Federation, including the Federal Capital Territory, amounted to 11.24 trillion naira. A state and the Federal Capital Territory, as at 31st December 2014, had a domestic debt profile of 1.7 trillion naira. And now let's now join Sabena Izoku for Stock Market Report.
CoreTV News Stock Market Report.
Hello there and welcome to the Stock Market Report segment with me, Sabena Izoku. Equities market on the floor, the Nigerian Stock Exchange ended on a positive note today as Nigerian All-Shares Index appreciated by 0.74% to close at 35,189.12 basis points. The market capitalization rose to close at 11.99 trillion naira. In all, a total volume of 344.6 million units of shares valued at 4.6 billion naira were exchanged in 4,956 deals. On the gainer side, Guinness led by 147 naira with a price difference of 7 naira, followed by Nigerian Breweries, Mobil Oil, West African Production Company, and 7-Up. On the flip side, Nestle led the chart, trailed by Flour Mill, Cement Company North of Nigeria, Berger, and Evans Medical. On the traders side, First Bank Nigerian Holding less
The chart followed by Stanbic IBTC, Transcorp, Axis Bank and Fidelity Bank. Just before we wrap up the stock market report, here's a currency trade for today.
CoreTV News Stock Market Report.
Thank you, Savannah. Let's now join also Brownson Wana for sports update.
Thanks for joining us on our sport news tonight. I am Brownson Wana. The victorious national U23 men's football team, the Dream Team, will be touching down at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport on Tuesday at about 10:40 a.m. Delegations will depart by 12 midnight Lusaka time, which is 11 p.m. Nigerian time, for their Kenyan Airways flight from Kenneth Kaduna International Airport, Lusaka, at about 2:35 a.m. Delegations will arrive Nairobi Kenyatta International Airport at about 6:15 a.m., where they will transit from about 1 hour, then take off from the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport. The Dream Team will be qualified for the football event of the September All-African game by beating their host Zambia 1-2 in a game played at the National Hero Stadium to qualify on a 2-1 aggregate, having been held to a goalless draw in Abuja 3 weeks ago. And now 20 more referees have been penciled down to depart Nigeria to the United Kingdom for a 2-week capacity enhancement program. The program is aimed at improving the quality of refereeing in Nigerian domestic football and make the country's arbiters more professional, diligent, incorruptible, and therefore fit for consideration for major international matches and championship. NFF President Amaju Pinnick stated in November 2014, before the departure of the first batch of 10 referees to the United Kingdom, that the Federation's target was to train 50 referees in the program. This third batch will bring the numbers to 50. Chairman of the Nigerian Referee Association Committee, Yusuf Ahmed, confirmed on Monday that the delegations will be led by members of the NFF Executive Committee, Hosseini Modibo. And now to some games that would be coming up in the UEFA Champions League on Tuesday. Two Madrid rivals will set Spain on fire on Tuesday as the UEFA Champions League resumes. Juventus will take on Monaco in Juventus Stadium. Atletico de Madrid will take on Real Madrid in Vicente Calderón. Paris Saint-Germain on Wednesday will take on FC Barcelona. And the last game on Wednesday will see FC Porto taking on Bayern Munich. And that's my final whistle on Sport News tonight. Very big thanks for watching. Franco Malape will be taking the betting from here.
Well, thank you, Branson Wana. We'll now take a look at stories outside Nigeria. Now, a bomb has exploded at the gate of the Moroccan embassy in the Libyan capital. Nobody was wounded in the bomb attack, which occurred earlier on Monday morning, local time. The gate and the presidential building next to their embassy were damaged, resident says. Fighters claiming loyalty to the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant said on Twitter they were responsible for the attack, but it was not possible to verify the authenticity of the claims. The blast came just hours after gunmen killed 2 people and wounded a third in an attack at the South Korean embassy on Sunday. The foreign ministry in Seoul confirmed that attack, saying 3 South Koreans working in the embassy, including 2 diplomats, were unhurt. ISIL aligned fighters claim responsibility for the attack on Twitter, according to Site Intelligence Group. Thank you for being there tonight. Just before we go, a recap of our major headlines. We told you that results of governorship and House of Assembly elections all over Nigeria continue to stream in. We also reported that the Civil Society Coalition Situation Room has called on the Independent National Electoral Commission to take another look at results from Rivers and 2 other states. And finally, the impeachment saga in Ekiti State takes another twist. And that's it tonight on CoreTV Primetime News. I am Frank Komanabe on behalf of the entire news crew. Well, have a good night rest.